Hey everyone, I'm Scorpion Max, and this is going to be a tutorial series about the Dragon Warrior 2 Randomizer. This series will be split in 5 parts. This is the first part, which is an introduction and an explanation of a few game mechanics. The second part will be about getting started and acquiring the Prince of Cannock. The third part will be about getting the Mirror of Ra and the Princess of Moonbrook. The fourth part will be about how to explore the overworld, and the fifth part will be a quick walkthrough of all the dungeons in this game. Two important things to note about this little series I'm trying to make is, first of all, this is for people interested in running the Charm of Rubis category. So the goal is to get all 5 crests and then turn them in for the Charm of Rubis as the victory condition, and not actually finishing and beating the game. Therefore, there will be no mention of Roan, of any of the final bosses of the game, or grinding strategies, but this will really be focused on exploration and trying to find every searchable location as fast as possible. So this is part 1, where I'm gonna be showing a few game mechanics, and so the second important thing here is that this series is very useful for anyone trying to get into this randomizer, but especially people who want to get in this randomizer but have no prior experience with the vanilla game, because a lot of mechanics and aspects of the vanilla game will be explained in detail here. So first of all, in this game you have a party of 3 characters. The first one that you will start with is the hero. The hero is kind of a soldier, meaning he has a lot of HPs and a big strength, and he can equip every weapon and armor in the game. However, he's unable to cast any form of magic. The second character that we will get is the Prince of Cannock. He's kind of a cleric, so he has average physical abilities, can equip most gear, but unlike the hero, he has access to magic. However, his magic is more focused on defensive and healing spells, and he only has a few offensive options. And finally, the princess is kind of a wizard. So she's the weakest party member, but she has a huge MP pool and she can cast the strongest spells in the game. Now, talking about spells, there's an important mechanic in this game. Spells are split in 2 different categories. You have the fight spells that can be used in combat, and the command spells which can be used outside of combat. So in combat you have all your offensive magic, and outside of combat you have things like return, repel, outside, things like that. However, there are some spells that can be in either categories, like the healing spells and the reviving spells. Normally, in the vanilla game, when you get a heal spell, it can be cast both inside and outside of combat, but in the randomizer it's not. As you can see on this screenshot, these are the spells that the prince had when I got him at level 1 in this specific seed, and he can cast heal more during combat, but not outside of combat. So you have to pay attention to which of the 2 you can cast your healing spells once you have access to them. That can be a very important thing to keep in mind. And alright, now still about spells, since the focus of this is to get the most exploration done, these are some very important spells to look for and to keep in mind. The open spell, which can be learned by the princess, is probably the most useful spell to us most of the time. What it does is that it allows her to open any locked door. So as soon as you have the open spell, suddenly you don't need to find the keys anymore. The most important key being the golden key, which I think about half the chests in the game will be hidden behind the golden door. Then you have outside that can be learned by both of them. Same as Dragon Warrior 1, this will take you out of a dungeon or tower which can be quite useful in some of them that are very long and very deep. The return spell can only be learned by the prince. That will bring you back to the last place where you saved the game. There will be more information about that on part 4, navigating the overworld. The princess can learn repel, which makes it so you do not have encounters with weak enemies anymore, which again fastens your ability to explore the overworld. And the step guard spell that can be learned by both of them will make your party immune to barrier and swamp tiles, which can be useful in certain places. Now moving on from spells, I want to talk about equipment real quick here. First of all, it's important to note that most of the equipment that you will end up using will be found during your exploration. You will most likely not need to buy a lot of it. And the things that you will want to buy, you will probably have money for them by selling other stuff that you will find. So getting gold from random battles is really not something that will be important here. First we'll talk about helmets. There's 2 of them, only the hero can wear them. So that's kind of easy. Then we have the shields. There are 5 shields. The hero again can equip all of them. The prince can equip 2, no shields for the princess. 2 things are important to note here. The shield of strength can be used during combat to cast heal more on the person who has it in its inventory. So you cannot use it to cast heal more on someone else, only the person who has it can cast heal more with it. And it doesn't matter if it's equipped. If it can be equipped, anyone who has it in his inventory can use it to heal. The other thing I want to bring attention to is the last one, the evil shield, which gives 30 defense power. So this is the strongest shield in the game. However, it's cursed. Now, cursed items in this game will make it so during combat you will lose your turn about half the time. So you will give a command to the hero to attack someone and he will just not do it. This looks bad, but you have to keep in mind that this is exploration focused, so at some point you will decide that you have enough levels that you do not want to grind anything anymore and that you only want to run away from every fight until you find all the remaining crests. So at that point it might be a good idea to equip this really strong shield to tank some more damage when you fail to run away, since you don't plan on actually fighting anymore. So the evil shield should not be discarded as soon as you find it, even though it's cursed. Then we have the armors. There's a lot more of them. I won't go through all of them, but again you can see hero can wear all of them, the prince most of them, and the princess only a few. Once again, the last one, the gremlin's armor, 50 defense, it's the strongest armor. Just like the evil shield, it is cursed, so the same logic applies here about how and when you might want to equip it. That's about it. Water flying cloths and armor of Verdrick will allow you to walk through swamps and barriers, so you can keep that in mind, but they're so good at defense anyway that they will be equipped if found regardless of that. And finally, weapon. This is the longest list. I will again not go through all of them. A few things worth noting. The Sword of Verdrick is far from being the best item that the hero can equip, so don't fall in that trap thinking that it's the same logic as Dragon Warrior 1. The Falcon Sword, you can see it only has 5 attack power. That is because it allows you to attack twice, but it gives so little attack power that it's generally not worth it. And since it can be sold for a lot of money, you should just sell it when you find it. There's no real reason to keep it. And at the bottom of the list we see the Sword of Destruction. That is also a cursed item, but since it's a weapon and not an armor, there's basically no reason to ever equip this one. So this one can be sold or discarded. There's no reason to do anything with the Sword of Destruction. So that's it. That covers the party, the spells, and the equipment. That was what I wanted to talk about here. There is one last mechanic, I did mention it quickly earlier. A few doors are locked in this game. There's 3 keys. This is not like Dragon Warrior 1 where keys are consumables. Once you find a key, you can use it for all the locked doors. The silver key has basically no use at all in this. There are no chests hidden behind a silver door. The jailer's key, I believe there are 2, maybe 3 locations where you can use it, but the golden key is extremely important. About half the chests in the game are hidden behind golden doors, so you really need to find a golden key or get the open spell on the princess to really open up the seed for exploration. So yeah, this concludes this part 1. Part 2 will be about getting started and acquiring the Prince of Cannock.